Mr. Alban, a dedicated surgeon, had been practicing abroad for over 10 years when he began to feel the emptiness of single life deeply. Despite his successful career, he yearned for a companion to share his life with. A close friend suggested he look for a partner in his home country, cautioning him against the independent-minded women he might meet abroad, whom he described as wild and feminist, and unlikely to foster a traditional home life. Taking his friend's advice, Mr. Alban planned a vacation to his home country to search for a wife. Meanwhile, he had connected with Grace, a woman from his tribe who lived in his home country, through Facebook. Grace portrayed herself as a devout Christian, which appealed to Mr. Alban's values. They planned to meet when he visited. Upon arrival, Grace picked him up from the airport. She was even more beautiful in person, mature and composed, and Mr. Alban was immediately smitten. The next day, she introduced him to her church and pastor, further convincing him of their compatibility. Overwhelmed by his feelings and the seeming perfect match, Mr. Alban quickly proposed, and they celebrated their union with a lavish wedding. Their honeymoon in a luxurious hotel was idyllic, but unknown to Mr. Alban, Grace was already pregnant by her ex-boyfriend, a secret she kept to herself. After returning from their honeymoon, Grace informed Mr. Alban of her pregnancy. Delighted, believing he was to be a father, Mr. Alban bought Grace a house and a car as proofs of his love. As the months passed, and Grace gave birth to a male child, Mr. Alban first saw his son via a video call. Something felt amiss. The baby bore no resemblance to him, prompting comments from friends and family that fueled his doubts. Deciding to see for himself, Mr. Alban returned home. Amidst laughter, he half-jokingly suggested a DNA test, which Grace vehemently opposed, accusing him of distrust. Despite the tension, a DNA test was conducted, and the results confirmed Mr. Alban was not the father. Grace, panicked, insisted the results were erroneous due to a mechanical error. Fearing her deceit was unraveling, she confided in her ex-boyfriend, who chillingly suggested poisoning Mr. Alban to secure his wealth. Upon his next visit, Mr. Alban was met by a madman who blocked his way and cryptically warned him against eating anything prepared by Grace. Alarmed, Mr. Alban returned home wary. Grace, attempting to maintain normalcy, seductively offered him his favorite dish, which she claimed she wasn't hungry enough to share. Suspicious, Mr. Alban fed a portion to their pet dog, Jimmy, who tragically died from poisoning. Mr. Alban immediately called the police, leading to Grace's arrest and her indictment of her boyfriend. Both were sentenced to 21 years in prison for conspiracy and attempted murder. Shaken but resolute, Mr. Alban adopted the child, determined to provide a stable and loving home despite the circumstances. The story underscores several poignant truths. The fundamental importance of honesty and trust in relationships, the destructive potential of deceit, and the power of intuition and vigilance in protecting oneself from harm. Please follow our page for more interesting contents.